friends, Queen of Flannel here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 2 of our Miss Penny color along. So before I get into what we're going to be working on today, I totally realized that in part 1 I didn't even tell you guys really like what book we were working in and where I got it. So this is Anastasia Elly Koldareva's most recent book, Listen to the Wind. I got my copy from Etsy, so I will link to the shop that I got it from. Now, I've never ordered from her directly. I know a few other colorists that have. I don't believe she has like a website or her own Etsy shop, but she does have an Instagram. I will also link to her Instagram. And from what I've seen and heard from others, if you reach out to her either through email or through her Instagram, you can order her books that way. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. It's apparently also a little cheaper to do it that way than to get it through another seller on Etsy, but that's not how I did it because I had a gift card for my birthday, and so I purchased it that way. So I did do a little work on this off camera. Let me go ahead and find this here and get myself set up. So I did do some more work on her hair, and I'm not entirely pleased with how it came out. Not so much the colors, just I think I overworked the marker. It's not horrible, it just I feel like it needs something, so I probably will go in with pencil and do some work that way. I also went in and did some glazing with the alcohol markers with my neutral grays on her face. I do think that since the majority of her face is going to be white, maybe a little bit of cream or an eggshell color, just to give it a little definition. I probably am going to do the majority of the detail work on her face with pencils. So we'll see how far we get today with what I have planned. I'm still kind of mulling over my my color choices and what pencils I want to use for that. I will be doing markers on the balloons, and I also went in and did some glazing with the shadows, since we did some of that with the hair in part 1, which I will put a link to up in the corner over there. So if you haven't seen part 1, that's where I kind of talked about this technique. If you're interested in a full, more in-depth on just glazing with alcohol markers, let me know. I'm not an expert, but I can probably put something together that will help explain the technique a little bit better. So, but for today, I am going to work on the background, and I'm going to use some of my Distress Crayons because they don't get the love that they deserve. If you don't have Distress Crayons, any gel crayon will work, and you can, substitute colors as needed. I think most sets have some sort of a black, and I also pulled out, this is Empty Tomb. This is one of the seasonal Halloween colors. I do not remember which year this one is from, so that'll be in the description. I'll go in and look after I'm done recording. Each year. I think Tim Holtz started doing this in like 2021. So this is either 2021 or 2022's one of the Halloween Distress Crayons, because I don't have the 2023 editions yet. I'm going to start with the black though, and then this will kind of be an accent color that I add in after the fact. And I am going to use one of the bigger brushes. This is from Hero Arts. You can use makeup brushes for these, or, you know, I know some people like the little finger daubers. I also have a couple of these detail brushes that I'm going to use for some of these smaller areas. We're going to start with the bigger brush. Typically, the way I have found that I like to do this is to put the crayon down on a palette versus right on the paper. It makes it easier to blend it out. I don't know where my palette is right now, so another way that you can use these, and hopefully this works with the crayons. I've done it with the King Arts, so we'll see. If not, I may have to go find somebody to use this palette. Any non-porous surface like a ceramic plate also works, but I'm just gonna go ahead and scribble my crayon onto my brush. I found this works just as well, and it will give me some darker areas. I'm going to need to turn this. So we're going to start over here, and I'm just going to brush this on in circular motions, and I'm going to try and get as close as I can with the larger brush, and then I will go in with the smaller brushes to get up close so that I don't get into the drawing. If you're worried about that, these do erase, or you can do your background first before you start your coloring. I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, I got some in there, which, let me see if I can pick that up or brush it out. Yeah, that's fine. And then it actually kind of looks like she's got some additional shadowing on her hair. It depends. Sometimes if I'm working with a lighter color for my background and then planning on doing darker colors for whatever my foreground or main subject is, I don't worry about it, because the darker colors of the pencils will go over top of these crayons once they set into the paper. You can always use drawing gum around your subject to avoid getting your gel crayon, and then peel up your drawing gum. Just depends on how you're feeling. Plenty of different ways to do this technique. And I got some marker, some of the orange marker over here. One of them was a little juicy, and when I opened it, it got on our got on our image there. And these little detail brushes are amazing. You can do the same thing with these as I've been doing with the big brush here. Just take your detail brush and pull your pigment right off your crayon if you don't have a palette handy. I'm not too worried about like over here in this area right here about getting the crayon. Okay, I think for the rest of this, I'm going to switch over to one of these detail brushes. I don't remember the brand of these, but I got them off Amazon. So we're going to pick up some of the crayon, and these blend pretty well. We're just going in circular motions here to blend this crayon out. And since I plan on using darker markers, if I get a little bit into my balloons, again, not too worried about it. So it's pretty easy. Just take our brush and I can always go in around these edges with a pencil as well if I feel like I need to. And this is really gonna be, I'm not doing anything super fancy with this background. I want it to be primarily black. And the empty tomb will really just be to kind of give maybe a little shimmer to it. And I have found that if you really want to have a dark background with these gel crayons, put down a layer and then let it sit for a little while so that the crayon dries into your paper, and then go back in and add additional layers. Otherwise, if you keep kind of like working one layer when the crayon is fresh, it really is just going to keep spreading out what you put down, if that makes sense. And you can go over the gel crayon with pencil. I have 2 other images that I have used these on for backgrounds, and done some pencil work over top of them. And you just have to make sure that you give it a little bit to sit before you attempt it. Otherwise, it kind of feels like you're fighting the crayon. Turn this way and see how we look. So we got some areas we need to blend out, which is fine. Make sure I don't have any on my hand that's going to end up on the rest of my image. And honestly, I kind of like the smoky look on this one. Okay, let's see. We're going to turn the book upside down and work across here. I also kind of like the little like halo around the balloons. And as I said, I will link to these supplies in the comments below. This is really, just a simple way to do backgrounds, and I'm really relatively new to this technique. I've always kind of like stayed away from backgrounds. I don't know if it was because I was just attempting to do them with pencils, and I find myself, when I work on like larger areas or really detailed images with pictures, it's almost like I get to a point where I start rushing, because I'm just like, this is one, it hurts my hands after a while. And I don't know if it's just I see all these beautiful images that other people do where they use, Prismacolor for backgrounds, and I'm like, oh, this is just, I just can't achieve that level of just, I get intimidated by it. But so I would often, like, on a lot of these, especially like the portrait style like images like this, I would end up just leaving my backgrounds blank, or I would do something like right around the edge of the image and I did a big cleanup of my office and started, rearranging my supplies and, really looking at like, what am I using? Are there things that maybe deserve a new home? Things that I haven't touched in a while, or things that maybe I could donate or give to my niece to use for arts and crafts. And so I pulled the gel crayons out and started using them, and yeah, I finished like 2 images with gel crayon backgrounds and really just enjoyed the process. So when I decided to do this as a color along, thought, well, let's bust out the gel crayons. And I'm gonna go in with the smaller brush up closer to her hair. Let's see. So these brushes, and this one is a little beat up. They're I think they're primarily used for stenciling, and you can kind of see how there's an angle on it. I'm gonna try and explain this as I do it. So typically, what I will do is when I'm doing my first application, I will put it down with the angle like this to get the initial application down, and then flip it backwards and kind of squish the brush to blend it out. I find that tends to work a little bit better than continuing to kind of like fan the brush out, especially if I'm working on a small area. So then it because if I do it this way with the angle down towards the paper, it fans the bristles out more. But then flipping it around to do more blending, I feel like I have more control over the bristles, and it makes it easier to control the brush and not get in smaller areas. And of course, I'm gonna have to come in and do some cleanup work there, but And really just kind of keep going with it until you get it to the way you want it to look. And you can also use these gel crayons wet, but again, be mindful of the paper in the book that you're using. If you go that route, I would still, if I was using them wet, I would still put them on a palette and then pick them up with a water brush or a paintbrush rather than applying the crayon directly to your paper. I find them much more difficult to blend out applying directly to the paper, and then you end up with like big globs that just won't blend out. Trying to get at least my application of the black down, and then I can start going in with the empty tomb. Ooh, what happened there? Actually, am gonna kind of go into the skin on this. Give it that misty look. Okay, just take a look here. Some of these areas are going to be a little tricky to get into. That is the ruffle on her collar. Okay. Okay, so definitely some cleanup work to do. But let's come in with our empty tomb, and I am going to use the same brushes. I really don't mind that it's going to mix with the black, because it's going to mix with the black when I put it on the paper. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see that on, it's really hard to see, but there is some shimmer to it when you, let me see, so it's like right in this area right here. See if we can zoom in just a little. Yeah, so you can kind of see it. So I'm going to add some of this in, and I'm going to add in more of the black as well. I just may need to let it sit for a little while, and then come back in and do another layer. So I'm also looking at the clock here and trying to figure out what we have time for. I don't want this video to be too long. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I am going to let this sit for a little while and do some refinement on it in the background, off camera, and then come back. I'm going to pick some pencils out. I'm going to come back, and I think we should be able to do the detail work on her face in this video. And then the balloons will be a third part, and then we should be able to wrap this color along up. So I'm going to go do that, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, we are back, and I have pulled some pencils and a reference photo, which I'm not going to put on screen. We'll just keep this off to the side here, where I can see it. So, I did play around with some of the pencils, just in the hair. I generally don't like Prismacolors for hair, so I may do this off camera and just grab some polychromos for the fine details on the hair. But I did pull some Prismacolors for for the detailing on the face. And so we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start with around the eyes, these little decor, and the lips. And first color I'm going to use is Tuscan Red PC 937, and these will all be in the description below. Get you guys a little closer so we can see what is going on. I also grabbed, I have the Holbein soft white, which is basically like coloring with butter. And I use that over her eyebrows, or one of her eyebrows. I'll do the other one on camera. And so, actual Pennywise doesn't have eyebrows. So I was trying to find a way to make them look like she grease painted her eyebrows. And I completely forgot to pull a black, which I will grab in a minute. But I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out so far. We've used a bunch of supplies that we don't use a whole lot. I have all of the Distress Crayons except for the most current set of the seasonals, which I actually ordered, and they are on the way and should be here tomorrow. And I've never felt like I knew how to use them. And so I've been watching a bunch of tutorials on backgrounds. And finally, got up the courage to use them. And I am going to have to go in here and darken this up. But this is just kind of blocking in my colors at the moment. So we'll see how far we get. I definitely don't think we're going to get to the balloons in this part, so this will probably be part 2. And then there will be a part 3. Which, that actually will probably work better because then I can get the markers back out. I still have all of the colors that I used for her hair. I just moved them off my desk. And I noticed the last part of this, aside from the, adjustments to where I am in the frame, and I think it just is the way I color that my hand tends to block what I'm doing. So I'm trying to be more mindful of that as well, so you guys can actually see. And I just want to check my reference photo really quick. Okay, so does this go up to? No, that's fine. So this is all going to be like gray underneath here, so that's fine. The red doesn't need to come all the way up. Or at least if my hand is going to be in the way, that I pull back so you guys can see. Okay, so next I think I'm going to go in with, let's see. Okay, so this is Crimson Lake PC 925, and I'm just going to use a little bit of this on the outside edges and kind of blend it into the dark, just to get some variation. Oops, shouldn't have done that. As I do it again. Oh. So we're going to kind of go back and forth between these two just to get the blend the way I want it. And I think because of the way her head is tilted, I'm going to leave this as a highlight. And see. We'll pull some of this out with the white. And this is the Prisma White PC938. Don't know why I keep swiping at it with my hand. I think I'm used to using can't remember one of my other sets of pencils where it's not quite as smushy and crumbly. Okay, so back to Crimson Lake. And I probably will go in with the blender pencil afterwards, just because the white obviously mutes things out. Let me add in, let's see what else I've got. What else did I pull? Let's do, so that's Carmine Red. Ooh. So this is Crimson Red PC924. And so now I'm going to come in with Dark Umber just in the corners. And these little lines on her lips. So this is the Caran d'Ache blender. It just happens to be on my desk, but that's fine because it works just as well with these pencils. So I can smooth some of this out. Okay, let me do her nose, and I should have paid more attention to how I was doing this. What was my combo? Okay, so back to Crimson Lake. So my reference photos, the entire nose is colored in, which I think just based on the lighting in this picture, I am going to leave or add in some highlight here. So I'm using the white to push a little bit of the color out. Let me just turn this real quick so you guys can see kind of where we're at. I'm just trying to go back and smooth some things out like as I see them. And now I'm going to go in with the Crimson Red just a little bit here. Kind of as like an outline color. And so the tone is similar to, it's down here on the lips. And then we're going to blend that out. And then I'm going to come in with my Dark Umber. And I may come in here with the black. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears. And I'm going to start with one of the eyes. Apologies for all of the sharpening. I should have done that before I started. Okay, so I'm going to turn this sideways and I'm going to come in with, this is 70% warm gray, PC 1056. And I'm just going to start shading up around the darkest part of the eyes. And I'm trying to be really light-handed with this. And I am going to go over this part of we still get a hint of it underneath. And I am going to be a little heavier handed around the, like her lash line and her lid. I didn't want to come in with black on on this because I felt like it was going to be too much. So I opted for gray. And then I can always come in with the black to accent darkly around the eyes. So this kind of color palette and design is based more off of the Pennywise from the newer movie rather than the Tim Curry. So that's what I was using for my my reference. Okay, let me see how this looks. So I've got a 90% warm gray. And oof, what is... So this is back to the 70% warm gray just to soften up that edge. Okay, let's this back here. I actually really like that. Okay, So now let me take a look at my reference photo. So he's got, all right, so he's got yellow eyes. And I think this is what I'm going to do because we're at almost 30 minutes and I know 30 minutes for this part. We're looking at about an hour on this so far. So, all right, let me go ahead and we're going to do one eye. I think if I do this, since I've done this and you guys have seen how to do the lips and how to do the nose and one of the eyes, it's going to be pretty much the same thing aside from, you know, just where I put my gray and how I put it in here, that I will do the other eye off camera. And I'm going to add just a little bit of Carmine Red in here. And this is Deco Yellow. I forgot to tell you guys that. And then it's kind of this yellow in the center, and then it's an orangish like outline on the outer part of his eye. And then let me just see the rest of it here. Okay, so it is, okay, because I wasn't sure if it was like a full like eye, like full yellow across like this part of the eye as well, but it's just the iris. So all right, so let me zoom you guys out so we can take a look at what we've got so far. Cool. I'm actually really pleased with how this is turning out so far. What did I get down here? I don't know what I dropped down here. But yeah, I am really enjoying working on this project with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. It's been neat to use supplies that I don't use very much. And sorry, I'm just erasing some little errant marks here. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other eye off camera, so by the time we come back it will be good to go. We should have both eyes finished. And then part 3, I will pull the markers back out and we will do the balloons and some detail work down here. And I might show you guys, I'm probably going to work on the hair and then I'll leave like a chunk of it just so that I can show you guys how I did it. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this part. I know it was kind of long, but I think we got quite a bit done. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of your support. Those of you that are watching, I hope you're enjoying this. And yeah, thank you. And I will see you guys for part 3. Peace.